Only two names have ever appeared on the IndyCar Winners' Trophy at Long Beach, Andretti and Unser. In the beginning, it was Mario with back-to-back wins in '84 and '85. But his son Michael moved past in 1986 and took the checkered flag, and with it, scored his first IndyCar win. Mario was back in '87 with his third win. Then a new name entered the picture, Al Unser Jr., a win in '88, and then last year, contact with Mario Andretti. With a damaged car, little Al went on to take the win. Mario hitched a ride home with his son. But now in the new decade, there are new names. Rick Mears, the winner at Phoenix. Bobby Rahal, a two-time IndyCar champion. Emerson Fittipaldi, the defending IndyCar world champion. And Danny Sullivan, one of the top road racers on the circuit. They all look for a win on the streets in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. It's a record crowd, over 85,000 strong, that line the streets of Long Beach, California, ready for that most famous command in racing. Here's Toyota's George Borst.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Now the engine's fired up and down Shoreline Drive here in Long Beach, California. The Indy cars are ready to go racing. Al Unser Jr. sits on the pole looking for his third straight win here. A picture of concentration. All the cars up and down this tremendous venue, lined up, the engines roaring, and we're ready to go racing in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. That was moments ago. We're live now at Long Beach, looking down on the streets, just jammed with people, and we're on the pace lap and ready to go racing here. Tremendous crowd, a tremendous field, and we're looking forward to a great day on board there with Bobby Rahal. Rahal will start back in the 9th starting position, and the field already beginning to pick up as we take a look at the starting grid. Al Unser on the pole, Fittipaldi to the outside, Rick Mears and Danny Sullivan, Michael and Mario Andretti make up the third row. Then we move down through this entire starting field. Willie T. Ribbs will be making his first start here, as will Hiro Mashusta. So there's some history being made here today at Long Beach. The field now moves on to Seaside as we look down through the 10th, the 11th, the 12th rows. All the cars still trying to scrub their tires in, get the brake temperatures up, looking at their cockpit gauges to make sure that everything is ready to go. This is the pole sitter, Al Unser Jr. You look over his right shoulder as he leads the field around. I'm Paul Page with Sam Posey and Bobby Unser. Jack Arute and Gary Gerald are in the pits for us. We're set to go. The 11th turn, the hairpin that brings them onto Shoreline. All eyes on the PPG pace car, which has pulled off into the pit area. The field is in the control of the pole sitter, Al Unser Jr. Emerson Fittipaldi the outside. The green flag comes out from Nick Bernaro, and we're racing as Fittipaldi in a drag race with little Al down to the first turn, a very tight right-hander. Everybody strings out. Danny Sullivan ducks in behind, but it's little Al that wins the battle to the turn, followed by Fittipaldi, then Sullivan, then Andretti.
Thought little Al was behind at the start, but he certainly out-accelerated Fittipaldi down in turn 1, and that was really an important move on his part.
Very hard to pass here on this track.
Both of the Penske cars, the two brightly colored machines, number 1, number 7, that's Fittipaldi and Sullivan. They are battling with one another already, as it is little Al Unser Jr. that begins to pull away. Lap number 1 here at Long Beach. They come to the backside of the course. Single file through here. Very difficult to pass. Now we come into a passing area. Watching especially little Al, but we'll keep an eye on that battle for second place.
Paul, right now they'll have to be a little bit careful because the racetrack will be slippery from all the other races that have been running previous to this one. So they'll, first about 3 laps, they'll all be a little bit careful, which is what they're doing right now.
Fittipaldi is able to hold his position. Michael Andretti closes right behind the number 7 car of Danny Sullivan as they come onto Shoreline once again and begin to accelerate to their top speed on this course. A long, sweeping right-hand curve. Very difficult to see around at these speeds.
As you see the two cars of the Penske team, Fittipaldi and Sullivan. Sullivan now coming out, and
Sullivan touches. And there's Michael. He comes to a stop. Mario comes past, as does Rick Rahal. These two cars, both of them, are they under power? Well, Danny certainly is, but it looks like Michael may have killed the engine. That could end the day, couldn't it, Bobby?
Yes, that'll be very hard for Michael. Even if he gets it started, one of the trucks may give him a pull to get him out of the way, and he may get the engine started, but he's not going to be competitive the rest of the race now.
I was just going to say there is no cooperation in this race between teammates. To be a teammate merely means that he's another rival for you.
That was too early a move. Right here you can see it. He made a last desperate attempt to pass Emerson, and that just didn't work, obviously.
Boy, the Penske team looked so powerful coming in here, and now two teammates, Sullivan and Fittipaldi, tangled. On board now as we work our way around this circuit.
Sad thing is it collected Michael Andretti, and he wasn't really a part of that, Paul.
So it is Al Unser Jr. who jumped from the pole into the lead. And look at him, that bright Valvoline car. As he streams down shoreline, Michael tries to play catch-up now. A watch ahead, the first turn, down hard on the brakes, slamming down through the gears. Then the course gets very tight and very narrow.
You know, remember, as we mentioned earlier, this thing is run between concrete walls, so the guys can't see far enough ahead to really see what's happening. They have to rely on the flagman if something does happen ahead of them. And often when they make passes, boy, it has to be pre-planned good.
On board with Bobby Rahal, he runs now trying to battle for fourth place. That's Rick Mears just ahead, the Pennzoil car, as they begin a battle.
Watch Rick Mears today. You see him there. Although he's been dominant on the ovals, he has never won on a street course like this one. There are 7 street courses on the calendar this year. Rick Mears, if he's going to be champion, he's leading the championship now, must be competitive on them.
Battle for fourth place. We watch it now. Rahal closes down on Rick Mears, but Rick has had a nice little string of wins, including his first win on a road course since 1984 in the final race of the season last year at Laguna. So if there's any question as to whether or not Rick can run on a road course, he seems to be solidly back.
His problems on road courses date from a crash he had in Canada in 1984 when he badly broke his legs and his feet. He was unable to do the shifting involved. For example, you see Bobby Rahal here, Mears just ahead of him. Mears will have to make, like the other drivers, over 28 shifts a lap here, and if your feet don't coordinate right, that's very tough.
And keep in mind, that 6th gear that he was popping, Sam, 180 miles an hour down Shoreline Drive.
The lineup, Al Unser Jr., Fittipaldi, then Mario Andretti, Rick Mears, Bobby Rahal, Teo Fabi, Raul Boisel, Ari Lyondike, and Scott Brayton. But let's watch this tremendous battle as they work their way around, battling for fourth place. Key passing area that they're in now. You pass under braking here. Watch Rahal as he closes. So 3 laps are now complete. Al Unser Jr. has won, led right from the green flag.
Brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Goodyear Eagle Radios, the best-selling performance radios in the world. By Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. And by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match.
We're back at Long Beach, California, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Tremendous race already with a lot of action. There is Danny Sullivan. He's running back in about 10th place right now after his confrontation with his own teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi. He spun out going into turn 1. Fittipaldi was able to continue on and stay in 2nd place, chasing Al Unser Jr. But now Danny has his hands full trying to catch up, move back through the field.
Well, at least he can still catch up, Paul. He's hurt him a lot, but he didn't kill his engine when he spun out or when he bumped his teammate, but he's still running, and he could still do it by the end of the race. Michael
Andretti, by the way, finally got restarted as well and has begun rolling. He's well back in 23rd position right now, trying to play catch-up. His father, Mario, rides in 3rd place, but Danny Sullivan has his work cut out for him. Sam Posey, on one hand, boy, did you see Boisel as he came off that corner, just flat sideways there. On one hand, you've got a situation where he's faster than everybody in front of him, but you also have a course that it's very difficult to pass on. As we watch the Lyondike number 30 car, and he's chasing Raul Boisel in the 8 car.
And Sullivan, the reason he contacted his teammate Fittipaldi was he seemed to have some kind of a brake problem. Wouldn't you agree, Bobby? The tail of his car swerved out under braking.
No
so
question.
it may be even tougher for him to make the overtaking maneuvers that he wants to.
Michael Andretti has clicked off a couple of positions just in the last few laps as he's now moved up to 20th, trying to work his way back through after getting restarted.
It's really hard, I started to say, to pass in the backside of the track. For Mike, for example, number 2 turn, clear around through number 8 turn, Paul. It's not only rough, they go from pavement to cement, back to pavement, and there's a few little bumps there. Very difficult to pass.
Here's Danny Sullivan as he works his way up behind the 30 car. That's the Shearson team car. Ari Lyondike driving that. Chevrolet power there. Sullivan has Chevy power, so you'll see similar type cars, but Lyondike has been having a lot of problems with that machine, trying to get it going.
They just haven't found the secret to make it handle real good yet. Ari is trying very hard. I watched him during practice. He was very fast, but as you notice, when Danny came underneath him in a attempt to pass at the end of Shoreline Drive, he didn't make a desperate pass like he did before with the teammate.
No, exactly. And remember that Danny, who you see last in this group here as they're coming down the back straight, is a veteran. There's Boesel, and there we're now looking at Ari Lyondike. Danny is a veteran of racing this kind of race. He's raced at Monaco in Europe. He will be calm. He will do everything he can. But it's not easy to make your way past people that are running 7th and 8th that are that good.
Well, he's holding Sullivan up right now, Sam, and Sullivan's going to be trying to pass on him pretty soon. Danny will get his confidence back and start making passes because he's too fast here not to be doing it.
Boesel and Lyondike are among the drivers who are very good in this series who have never managed to win one of these races. So they are very aggressive men still looking for their first win. Sullivan, of course, has not only won races, he's been champion in one Indy.
We're watching a battle, actually, 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's Boesel sitting there in the Budweiser car, followed by Lyondike, and then sits Danny Sullivan, who's trying to carve his way back through the field. He's using a slightly different line than the other two, Bobby.
Well, he certainly is, because first thing, let's remember, all of those cars are Lolas, with the exception of the one that right there, the number 7 car of Danny Sullivan. That's a Penske. He was very fast at the start of the field. The confrontation at the start, the bad pass he made on Emerson Fittipaldi is really hurting.
This battle is closing down now on the number 4 Porsche. That's Teo Bobby, and they're beginning to catch him, while at the same time, Teo is beginning to catch up to Bobby Rahal, who's sitting right behind Rick Mears. So the whole front end is coming forward and closing on the leaders.
Ari Lyondike, who you see in the center of the screen, who Sullivan must pass next. 36-year-old Dutchman. He wears his hair very, very long in a sport that is really known more and more for their button-down collars. Here comes Danny at the end of the straightaway, still unwilling to make a bid under braking.
He's apt to do it pretty soon. That is the favorite place to pass on the track. That and at the end of the back straightaway, always under braking. Now, after Danny got burned, he's a little bit afraid to try it again.
Is he worried about the fact that there's not just one, but 2 rather quick cars that he's going to have to duck under?
For sure, Paul. And another thing he's worried about is he made a mistake early in the race. He doesn't want to make 2 mistakes. This one didn't cost him so much right now. The next one may.
Well, the question is, did he make a mistake, or is maybe something different on the car? Is the brake lock something that doesn't work for him that he might want to worry about in this kind of situation?
Oh, I think
look at this. Lyondike gives a try there. Can't make it past Boesel. And Danny Sullivan closes in again. He's right behind now. He's looking for a maneuver at the end of the main stretch. We keep an eye on this battle. Here is Sullivan. He comes off the corner just as hard as he can. Now, if he's going to make a move, it would come at the end of this straightaway, but he doesn't seem well positioned for it, Bobby.
Most of this is going to be determined the fast speeds, 180 miles an hour down Shoreline Drive here, and it's going to be how much wing the cars have. That's the drag. Now look at this. That's a fake pass. In other words, what Ari Lyondike was doing was moving over to the right, trying to tell Boesel, hey, I'm coming by, but Boesel didn't give in to that fake pass.
Lyondike almost lost the back end of that car as the battle continues. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, we'll give you an update on the Danny Sullivan situation. They brought out a brand new wing set because indeed the brakes did lock up and they're a little concerned. But you see the computer here, what they've discovered, they're monitoring lap by lap the fuel mileage because that's their major concern in this race. They've discovered they're getting excellent fuel mileage, and they also said, hey, we've spun in one before. Let's check in with Gary Gerald further down pit road.
Well, Jack Morey cranes Debbie Rahal and the entire Craco team watching Bobby Rahal with intent, because he could be the chief beneficiary of the problems that were encountered early between Fittipaldi and Sullivan. Rahal started 9th. He had turbo problems in qualifying yesterday. He's jumped up to 5th, and he was very fast in the final practice session with full fuel load yesterday. So he's in a good position now to challenge. Paul?
That's Maury Cranes, the bearded gentleman there, who is now working in conjunction with the Gallus team. You can see that here comes Sullivan as Lyondike got past Boissel, and now it's Sullivan that comes past as well. So that battle continues, and Sullivan's picked up an advantage, as has Lyondike.
Now, you could see Sullivan that time. He knew the pass was going to happen. Now, no question about it. His competitors know it when he gets that serious, because he set that up way down the straightaway.
We're live, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, watching what really is a battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. And just ahead lies Teo Fabi in 6th place. The leader of the race is Al Unser Jr. He's a full 3 seconds out in front of Emerson Fittipaldi. You ride now with Mario Andretti. Al Unser Jr. led 84 of 95 laps last year and won the race. Can he do it again? We'll be back.
Of the toughest fought miles in the history of motor racing. To live and drive the Indy 500, 3 decades of ABC Sports at Indy. A brand new video cassette that tells the whole Indy experience from an unbelievable point of view. Now you can live and drive the Indy 500 for only $19.98 plus $3 shipping and handling. To order your video, call 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
We're back live, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and you look backwards from just under the wing of Bobby Rahal's car. That little white blur well back there at well over 160 miles an hour is Teo Fabi in the Porsche as he closes down. Now, Lyondike and Sullivan have gotten past Rahal. So Rahal is struggling with his car, which is a surprise. We really expected a great deal more out of Bobby Rahal and his team at this particular track. And now he's trying desperately to hold on to the position from a charging Teo Fabi. And right behind Fabi is Boissel, and Eddie Cheever has now closed in as well. So this is a tremendous little battle. Rahal sits in 7th place right now.
He's not working his normal Bobby Rahal Long Beach. He hasn't had much luck here, Paul, but he's definitely holding up the whole deal right there. And he knows that, but he's been having trouble all through.
Watch Teo Fabi. Fabi comes under braking, slams those brakes, gets there first, gets past Bobby Rahal. Boissel tries Rahal to the outside. This is going to be a tight corner because it narrows down very quickly, but Boissel gets past as well. Now it's Cheever that's sitting right behind, and there's Scotty Brayton in the Amway car.
They got Rahal out of phase right there, and boy, he was history. 2 spots within 2 turns right there now. He doesn't like that. He's going to have to pick back up. You can look for him getting some adjustments to his car on the first pit stop.
On board the STP Craco machine, we're on Shoreline Drive now as Bobby Rahal struggling with his car. There's Eddie Cheever sitting to the right, the target car, as they come into the first turn, swinging back into the left. So Eddie Cheever moves around Rahal, and it looks like Scott Brayton, who just washed the front end a little bit, may be the next guy to set Rahal up as a target.
You know, when you're being passed by this many cars as Rahal is, you know there's something wrong with the car. Only 2 weeks ago in Phoenix, Rahal was a triumphant second behind Mears only and beating his teammate Al Unser Jr., who is now leading this race. So you can assume something's wrong with the car. Rahal's mental state is probably wait for that pit stop to try to get something changed.
You get a good idea, too, as we watch this battle with Bobby Rahal. Scotty Brayton just behind him. The difference, there comes Michael, as Michael's finally worked his way back up and is coming in contention in the top 10. He'd fallen all the way back to 23rd because of that incident between Sullivan and Fittipaldi that also involved Michael. He more just got on the brakes and got the car stopped. No damage to the car, so obviously it's working and he's moving back up.
Eddie Cheever right there now. He's a road racer from Formula One. He did very good at Phoenix, first oval race he's ever run. This is his specialty. He's come up a long ways in his practice. Everybody's looking for great things from Eddie today.
The leader, Al Unser Jr., the Valvoline machine, out in front by about a second and a half now over Fittipaldi.
Al Unser Jr., of course, encountered Mario Andretti last year on this course very near the end of the race, put him out of the race. And what happened next is interesting to me. Here's
John Andretti in the pits, one of the Porsche entries. That would not be on the schedule as he comes back out into the action.
What happened next last year, after Little Al put Mario out of the race, that was just a racing incident. But the interesting thing is that Little Al went to Mario's house and apologized to him. That's unusual.
A.J. Foyt is struggling. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, remember 2 weeks ago, A.J. Foyt said he was back with a vengeance. Well, it won't be today as well. They've had a problem with one of the cylinders. What they've done is they've changed the fuel monitoring device. You know, the black box on the side? You can see one of the crew members making that exchange right now. But A.J. Foyt is, for all intents and purposes, out of this event today. Let's check in with Gary Gerald, who's down in the Craco pits.
Well, Jack, it's a very concerned Barry Green, the crew chief for Bobby Rahal and his crew. He had gained the ground up to 5th, but now dropping back is 10th. They know it's a brake problem. Rahal has indicated he's having difficulty with his brakes. They knew that brakes would be a major concern. You get temperatures here close to 800 degrees on your brake calipers. They have wrenches on the pit wall, but if they have to come in to try to improve the braking, it's going to be a very costly stop for Bobby Rahal.
Well, you ride with Bobby Rahal right now, who is not in contest with anyone. Sitting back now has fallen all the way to the 10th place.
Did you go around, you watch the tires from our inboard camera, we just on Rahal, you'll see a black stripe in the middle of the tire. That tells you how hot and how hard the tires are being worked. You can even see it when it's up to speed sometimes.
One of the factors here, too, is as you look at these different shots, you'll see changing surface color. And what that is part of the course is asphalt. Part of it, there's a concrete section. They've just come out of what normally is a parking lot area. Now they're on the Shoreline Drive. That's all concrete. Then they'll go to some asphalt that's brand new, that's a year old, different surfaces. That makes it really tough to set up the tires.
Plus, there's no banking here, Paul. It's all flat. And you got to remember, the city streets aren't always the smoothest thing. Look at the cars jumping around there. Look at the Al just bouncing.
Al Unser Jr. looking for 3 in a row. There are big signs around here suggesting a three-peat for Little Al. Well, it's looking that way right now. But look at Fittipaldi closing down. He was as far as 3 seconds back, but he seems to be catching Little Al.
Emo just like a bulldog. When he gets that close, he's going to be tough. He's going to work Little Al. Little Al, of course, would like to be backing off just a little bit now to save his car because it's a long race here. But Emo's not going to let him do it.
Big feature in the LA Times back on Thursday about Emerson Fittipaldi's diet. It described it in great detail. What it did not describe is his favorite drink mixed by his wife Teresa, vodka and lime juice. I doubt if he's thinking about that now.
And I doubt if there was any vodka and lime juice in the diet this week. Emo's very careful about his physical preparation for a race, right down to a very special diet. And he is now closing in on the leader, Al Unser Jr.
He's in his 40s, of course, at an age in which diet becomes more important.
Al Unser still leads it. We'll return with more of ABC's coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach after this message and a word from our... We're back. The Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Al Unser Jr., the leader, is in traffic, and right behind him, there comes Fittipaldi. They move up and engage Roberto Guerrero, the Alpha car. They're separated by 1 car now, and through the past few minutes, it's gotten to be a traffic jam on the streets of Long Beach.
This part of the race is so important, Paul, because now's when they're starting to lap some of the cars. That was Guerrero. Little Al just went by. It's Emo right behind him. Now that's holding him up. Emo would have really liked to got behind Roberto going into turn 1. Then he could have stayed right on Little Al's tail.
As we watch Emerson, put yourself in his shoes. He is now leading the 3-car Penske team. He has become the emotional leader of that team. Danny Sullivan is in 5th. Rick Mears is in 4th. And there it looks like he's going to make a move right now on Guerrero. A clean one, easily. He and he alone has a chance in the Penske team right now to take the lead in this race. And he's going to push it for all it's worth.
It was nice of Guerrero to move out of the way, Sam. You watched him pull right to the right and make it easy for Emo to go by. Now, that was really nice.
Yeah, but he blocked him down Shoreline Drive. I think he knew he owed it to him. Did you notice that Emerson slipped there a little bit? There's no question he's pushing it as hard as he can.
Traction can be a tangible quantity here, and they're having a lot of trouble finding it. It seems that with all of the racing we've seen so far this weekend, that there's been a lot of debris, a lot of oil get down on this course, and it's made this course a little slippery for most of these cars.
Well, they're so powerful, they get wheel spin. They do 0 to 100 in 5 seconds.
Now watch the difference as we go along. That's a Penske. That's Emerson Fittipaldi's #1 car. That's a Penske car, a new model. He's right behind. There's Danny Sullivan behind Rick Mears. Both of those are Penske cars. The comparison is watch them against the Lolas.
Mears, as I said, really must demonstrate his capabilities on this type of course. He is not able to do that right now. In fact, Sullivan has made up all that ground after the spin and is now pressuring Mears, who does not look good right here.
And Sullivan challenges his teammate, Rick Mears. Remember what happened the last time the Penske team was involved in a challenge? That's John Andretti in the second Porsche, running just behind Sullivan's number 7 car. The Rick Mears car, the bright yellow machine, out in front. As they come to the one section of the course where passing surely is possible, but you really have to know the braking to do it. Sullivan moved to the inside kind of to tell Rick that maybe he was going to try there and then didn't. They come around a very tight section. They have to stay in single file here. There's not a really good chance to pass. And now we come up to a key passing area off of this hairpin and onto the fastest section of the track.
And Rick is not going to make it any easier just because that's his teammate. In fact, if anything, in fact, to show that he's as good a road racer as Sullivan is.
True in one sense. You see Danny Sullivan there, but Sullivan, through the years, has taught Rick a lot about road racing, just as Rick has taught Danny a lot about oval. And I think this cooperation between these two men, we'll see if it manifests itself in Rick allowing Danny to go by.
But keep in mind, Sam, that Rick Mears was one of the finest road races I ever saw before he got his feet hurt. So I think in those days he could have probably taught Danny a little bit.
Ongoing battle for 4th place. Rick Mears, Danny Sullivan. Sullivan fakes to the inside. Now they move into, again, a very difficult section to pass, but we have seen passing in some of these areas, and both of them are running right at the limit. You can see the cars slip around as they continue their pursuit. Remember the top of the order: Al Unser Jr., Emerson Fittipaldi, then Mario Andretti, and then this battle.
Remember that Mears leads, but here comes Sullivan down the inside at the end, and it's a clean out break. Mears did let him by.
Well, that's where Sullivan telegraphed the pass on the last lap, and this time he moves solidly to the inside and moves past Rick Mears.
That's one of the favorite places to pass. Remember, there's two main places: the front straightaway down Shoreline Drive, and where we saw that pass right there on the back straightaway.
Bobby, why are they favorites?
Well, because the streets are so narrow here, and there's cement on the both sides. The guy can't see far enough ahead to really know that this is the time to pass. The cars, did you watch them? They go from high to low, staying in the groove, making the track the straightest that you can make it. So the easiest place, hey, out breaks the guy going into the turn.
And on a circuit like this, perhaps more than any under, because of those concrete barriers, the drivers refer to it as running down a concrete canyon. You can't afford any mistake at all, because any one would be catastrophic.
Well, notice that the driver's eyes are actually below the top of those concrete barriers. I mean, it's one thing for us. We're looking down on them, but if you're down in that car, you don't see anything.
So true, Sam. And we remember last year when little Al was attempting to pass on Mario, instead of passing him, he hit him. That wasn't on purpose. That's a racing accident. But this place really leads you to things like that.
Let's go to the pits now. Jack Arute has an update.
Well, Paul, already there's a concern in Emerson Fittipaldi's pit to have enough fuel to go the distance. They've already radioed back to MO to begin the short shift here at Long Beach in order to conserve enough fuel to go the entire distance here.
Well, Jack Arute suffering from some laryngitis there, having some ocean breezes last night, I think. I hope you make it through the day, Jack. We continue to watch the run down Shoreline. There are the traffic lights, not in use here today, and we watch young John Andretti. That's the Quaker State Porsche machine. A new ride for him and an excellent ride for young John.
Watch those front wings of his shaking, Paul. Now, a lot of the cars have wires that go from the center of the nose out to the outside of the front wing. This car doesn't apparently have them, and the wings are shaking violently. There's a good chance, as rough as this is, that he could break the wing for the day's over.
So John Andretti with a good ride here, running in 20th though right now. He had that unscheduled pit stop and is now trying to make up time. He's one of the other Andretti family, though he's a Mario nephew. His father is Aldo Andretti, who is Mario's paternal twin. And by the way, his godfather is none other than A.J. Foyt. I don't think I'd mess with him on a racetrack. A lot of racing blood there. Michael Andretti closes in as he continues to work his way up through the field. Michael, remember, had his problems early on and has had to struggle his way back up and is now trying to cut his way through the top 10. He runs in 7th at this moment.
Michael Andretti, throughout the practice and qualifying, probably had the most colorful style of anybody, controlling the car in simply huge slides. But he knew very well that would use up too much fuel in the race, and he's going to be much more cautious here than he was then.
Michael went into quite a physical training program over the winter, too. He's really in excellent shape, but it's not manifest in the record thus far. He crashed in practice for the Phoenix race, and then he was out of that race early with engine trouble. He killed the engine on the second lap here, and here is Teo Bobby trying to communicate something to his crew as he comes into the pits now. They change tires, refuel the car, and this theoretically should be a bit early, so I would not suspect that this is scheduled for them either. Remember, the other car came in early as well.
Disappointment in a sense for Porsche, but remember, this is their year-old car, their 1989 car, their 1990 car on the drawing boards, almost ready to go now. Here we are back aboard with Bobby Rahal as he pursues Raul Boesel. Boesel, who got the ride. There's Rahal trying to outbrake him, maybe starting to get some confidence back in his brakes. Boesel ahead of him there in the red car, got this ride when Scott Pruitt, the regular driver of that car, was badly injured. His legs badly hurt earlier this season. So Boesel got this ride very much at the last minute. Has done a decent job with it so far.
By the way, I've had a chance to spend some time with Scotty. He's recuperating in Indianapolis. We wish him well. We know he's watching here today, and he hopes to be back in a race car in January. Bobby Rahal on shoreline, moving for the inside line, ready for a braking battle with Boesel. Can't get it done, doesn't come to the inside, drops back single file.
Remember, he's got brake problems, so he can't get in as deep as he'd like, Paul.
So 28 laps of the scheduled distance now complete here. Al Unser Jr. continues his dominance of the past 2 years. We'll be back. Hey, Mark. Beach, I'm Paul Page with Sam Posey, Bobby Unser, Jack Arute, and Gary Gerald. Ari Luyendyk was battling with Michael Andretti. Michael was able to get past just seconds ago and continues to carve his way up. Michael moves up now into 6th place. That's Dominic Dobson in the Texaco car just behind him. As they sweep now through turn 10 here in Long Beach, California. And the fight is between these two cars, though not necessarily for position. At the moment, Luyendyk sits in 7th, and Dominic Dobson is well down in the order.
Dobson, who you see in the black and red car, crashed at Phoenix 2 weeks ago. He's a very methodical man, a calculating man.
He's running in 19th place right now. He'd hope for a better showing here in Long Beach. The leader, the Valvoline car, number 5. Blue and white car of Al Unser Jr. He won last year. He won the year before, though last year in some controversy. He started on the pole. Scott Goodyear, the 11 car, comes out of the pits after a stop. And we now do expect the stops to begin on the regular schedule, Bobby Unser.
Yes, we do. We're looking for around 35 laps with most of them. You watch little Al, how smooth is it down the straightaway. Paul, if we watched him during practice and qualification, he just looks smoother. Looks like he's not using his car as hard as most of them here. For example, we compared him to Michael Andretti. They were running nearly the same speed. So Al was very smooth. Michael was sliding around, leaving black rubber marks. Now, all this is going to help his car stay together during the race.
You look over little Al's right shoulder. He's the leader of the race by a full 6 seconds now over Emerson Fittipaldi. Mario is in 3rd, Danny Sullivan 4th, then Rick Mears, then Michael Andretti.
These onboard cameras give you a phenomenal opportunity really to see exactly what the different drivers are doing. Watch how little Al actually has to move his hands on that steering wheel compared to what we've been watching from Bobby Rahal. And here we are in the pits with...
That's Ari Luyendyk, the Domino's Pizza car, as he makes what should be a routine stop. And arrows on the tire, Bobby, what are they doing that for?
Well, that tells you that it's a left front. Make sure it goes on. You don't get the left and the right. If you took that left front and put it on the right front, it would be reading backwards. The tires are actually made with the rubber on them to go a certain direction.
18.5 seconds for Luyendyk. Tire is a difficult problem here. If you watch on these onboard shots as we ride with the leader, watch that right front tire. And watch how the surface of the tire changes from point to point as it goes through different areas of traction and has different levels of heating.
You can tell by the color of it. You can see the color changing as we go through different turns, and that shows you where the heat is actually changing the adhesion on the tire.
We look down from the airship Columbia, based in Carson, California, one of the Goodyear blimps, giving us excellent coverage here. This camera operation on board this airship is the new Gyrocam 360. It's operated by remote control, and it can go 306 degrees around and has a 44-to-1 lens, so we actually use it from time to time in the coverage. Makes for some great pictures as well. Floats nice in that pretty crystal blue sky over Long Beach, California right now. On board, Bobby Rahal. Rahal continues to stay in the fight, running in 7th.
I think his brakes troubles have gotten just a little bit better, Paul, because he's been going a little bit faster, probably getting used to the problems that he has with the brakes and can make up for it a little bit.
Well, A.J. Foyt continues to struggle. He just got a pit message to come in the pit in 2 laps. Remember, AJ has been struggling to keep that car out, and at Phoenix he declared he was back. And boy, his fans began to root after they heard that. Certainly everyone hopes that.
I ran into him in the elevator the other day, and he told me, he says, hey, I'm ready.
This is the Penske pit, Fittipaldi's crew, as they are ready for Emerson Fittipaldi to come in and make a stop. There is Eddie Cheever, the target car, roaring out of the pits. And he comes down to stop in the far end of the pits where his team, the Ganassi Racing team, is positioned.
Cheever, interestingly, is a vegetarian. A real health nut, much like Emerson Fittipaldi.
He's a good road racer, Sam. This is the day that he's supposed to really shine good. This is supposed to be his specialty.
Back on board, Al Unser Jr. as Eddie Cheever moves in for a routine stop. In and out very quickly. 10 years in the Formula One. He has raced here before in Formula One. He did say that the course has changed somewhat. And little Al makes that dart for the pit, so he's down to get some service. And the question is, what will Fittipaldi do as little Al comes into the pits right behind him? Emerson Fittipaldi comes in for a stop. So it's a stop between first and second. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, little Al came in one lap earlier than they showed on the board. He's getting fresh rubber and fuel. Everything appears to be routine. He's rolling in under 15 seconds, and they're delighted in this pit.
Oh, and they should be. A spectacular stop for the Gallus team. Only now does Emerson Fittipaldi roll away at 16.5 seconds. And Danny Sullivan is on the main stretch, so they'll come out almost side by side. That's Teresa Fittipaldi right there, showing a little apprehension on the left of your screen. And we're on board now with the new leader. That is Mario Andretti. He did not stop. He stayed out and picked up the lead as first and second came in.
Now, they won't be far behind. They'll have to pit pretty quick because most of the cars we're looking at there have Chevrolet engines in them. Their mileage will be pretty close to the same, Paul.
So Mario Andretti, who's now lined up behind Lyondike, is the leader of the race. That's Didier Tays, the Granatelli car, sitting just behind him.
Consider how important this race is to Mario, who you see right there in the light blue and white car. He has not won a race since the summer of 1988. And this race here, a race that he has won 3 times and on which he has led more than half of all the laps, maybe offers him the best chance to win a race in 1990. He's driven smoothly. There's Scott Brayton in the 22
Amway car makes a routine stop. He wants him to make a wing adjustment. You saw the gesture, and they can just twist a bolt and readjust the front wing. Good stop for that crew, 17 seconds.
But they didn't make the adjustment, did they?
Now, it doesn't look like they got it done. And as we suspected, Fittipaldi and Sullivan together on the track. Sullivan has not yet stopped. But as Emerson came out of the pits, Danny was right there, and now they're back battling again. I suspect they're going to be a little more careful this time.
Boy, that looked like it could have been early in the race, doesn't it? The pass that wouldn't have been made.
Rick Mears, the Penske team, in the pits making his first stop. 2 stops, the expectation here at Long Beach. Roberto Guerrero, the Alpha car, as they're in, making their stop, all going smoothly in the Penske pits as Richard Buck and the crew rolls Rick back into the action in 17.1 seconds.
Smoothly in a sense, Paul, but they made no changes to Rick's car, which means that the problems he has been having were not correctable in the pits. He is not having the kind of day that he looked to have if he's going to be a major contender in the championship.
Not correctable or corrected themselves. He seemed satisfied with them to overcome them, perhaps.
Perhaps, or perhaps it was something that couldn't be fixed that fast.
Hiro Mashusta now just in front of Emerson Fittipaldi as Fittipaldi tries to hold off charging Danny Sullivan, who needs to fight to come back. But Sullivan should be heading for the pit road just any time. Will this be the occasion? In fact, it is. The third and final car in the Penske team rolls in for a stop. We go to Jack Arute.
And Paul, Tim Bumps, the crew chief of the car, goes to work on the left front tire. They're going to change all 4 tires. A very quick stop just a lap ago by his teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi. Danny Sullivan, in contrast, while Sullivan is getting good gas mileage, we've already told you that Fittipaldi's having bad. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
And just up the line, Michael Andretti getting in so not to disrupt the rhythm for Mario is off, and he's off in 14.5 seconds. The engine bobbles, but he's away. Fresh rubber and fuel. Paul?
I'll tell you what, we are seeing some wonderful work by these crews here at Long Beach. They're really doing a magnificent job. Perhaps part of the incentive is the new Texaco Haviland pit stop contest for the top 10 qualifiers. Now, Rick Mears' team won that contest as a result of their quick work. They measured time from pit in to pit out. And the fellow with the shortest interval of time accumulated through the race wins. And at the end of a race, they win $5,000. And there'll be a prize again at the end of the season.
And
Bobby.
remember, Paul, that's from coming into the pits, not actually being in where the crew is, but coming in. So that means braking and coming out of the pits, which means acceleration.
Gives you a little better idea of the effect of the entire pit stop when they measure it that way.
Because it's not only the mechanics, it's the driver, too. See, it's everybody involved.
On a course like this, the team and the work made on the pit stops is so absolutely critical. The 31 car, that's Jan Beekes, former ARS champion.
They're making their first pit stop. This team has never made a pit stop in competition before. All of the men on the crew you see in action. This is not a team like Penske's with 50 men. They only have a handful. Beekes, young man, has done a wonderful job here this weekend.
Well, he's surprised a lot of people. He qualified very well in the 11th starting position. Doing very well in the run here. They're taking it carefully. They don't want to be flashy. They just want to stay in and learn, and that is a good attitude. Mario Andretti cuts into the pits. He's ready. Let's go down to Jackaroo.
They're changing the tires, all 4 tires, fuel going. It's kind of interesting, gentlemen, that he's been able to go a lap longer than many of the front runners. This could be a big move for Mario Andretti in trying to win this race. Let's go back to you.
Well, the fact that he was able to carry a little longer, Bobby Unser, could be critical coming to the end of the race. He looks like he's getting pretty good mileage.
Historically, Mario's always done better than anybody here. But remember, like with Little Al and like Emma, when they came in early, they have to have the guarantee more than anybody. They can't afford to gamble because they are running number 1, 2 in the race.
Well, as they cycle their way through, the number 5 car, Al Unser Jr., the Valvoline machine now comes back to the lead of the field. Mario Andretti came out of the stop in 2nd place, but as he builds up speed, will struggle just a bit to hold on. Fittipaldi sits in 3rd place. So the first of what should be 2 scheduled stops complete at Long Beach. And the question is, will Al Unser Jr. continue to dominate this race? The answer to the moment seems to be yes. We'll be back with more.
What can a Toyota 1-ton truck...
Back, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. 41 of the 95 laps are complete. Al Unser Jr., after his pit stop, was able to move back into the lead, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi as we take a look down through the top 10. But there seems to be, Bobby Unser, some concern on Fittipaldi's fuel mileage.
There does, Paul, and the fuel, as we always know it here in Long Beach, becomes a very big factor. Now, MO is short shifting. That means he's getting better mileage.
There's Didier Tays. He runs in 12th place in the Chin-Up Masters car, that bright orange or day-glow number 9. That belongs to Vince Granatelli of the Granatelli Racing family. He's doing a nice job. New ride for him.
Yes, it is. The Tune-Up Masters, that's Andy Granatelli, the guy that I used to drive for in Indianapolis.
And that's Eddie Cheever that's coming down to the inside and picks up the position on Tays. Cheever working his way up and picks up 12th place.
That's a Chevrolet passing a Buick engine car there, the V8.
Some people are asking, and they seem to think, they don't seem to think, it seems rather obvious that the Buick engine is somewhat penalized, and they have asked to give it more boost, more turbocharger pressure, but that's been denied. The reason they're running the car, for no other reason, is to get ready for Indianapolis because they have a definite advantage there.
Yeah, so what it is, it's a stock block V6 with a turbocharger on it. And in cars, they don't allow more boost, but in Indianapolis, they allow a whole bunch more.
There's Emerson Fittipaldi, struggling now apparently with a fuel problem. Let's go to Jackaroo and get an update. He is with Fittipaldi's crew chief.
And Paul, I'm with Rick Reineman, who's the crew chief on Emerson Fittipaldi's car. You're short shifting, not by choice, but by necessity.
Right, we're just a little bit low on fuel, but right now, after the last stop, we found we have a little bit more fuel in the tank than what we thought we did, so...
Yeah, but have you got enough to go the distance?
We'll keep running at these times now, and then hopefully build up a cushion, and then after our next stop, we'll turn it up.
You need 1.8 miles to the gallon in order to go the distance with the amount of fuel that you have in the tank. And right now, they're getting 1.74 miles to the gallon.
Now, Paul, what you would think after that is these cars are computer controlled, and the Penske cars, the Chevrolet engines, have telemetry systems, which means that they transmit by radio what the car is doing back to the pit. Now, this particular case, they found out that that wasn't exactly true. So that maybe it's something in that computer system not working.
Nothing is more agonizing as we look at Emerson Fittipaldi there, right behind the Porsche, for a driver who is in second place and desperately wants to be trying to catch the leader than to having to be taking conservation measures with his fuel. Short shifting, possibly leaning the mixture out. Right now, Emerson Fittipaldi wants to go for it and start catching Little Al, and he can.
I have no idea how they do it. It must require just incredible discipline. All he does is watch the tack and make sure he doesn't exceed a point.
Self-discipline. You would be absolutely right on that. I mean, the driver is a much more complex person than most people realize. As you see Emerson dart out and around the Porsche there, you have to be a man who is both extremely aggressive and yet extremely careful.
What they'll do, Sam, is just cut it back about 500 RPM. That's what he's talking about. Short shifting just means every time they shift, they'll drop it back like 500 RPM. If the fuel mileage is really bad, they'll drop it down 1,000 RPM every time they shift.
All right, Emerson Fittipaldi works his way around the course. Of course, here at Long Beach, there's a great deal more of racing. One of those was yesterday's professional drivers and celebrities in the Toyota Pro Celebrity.
It's a popular fantasy to drive a race car. This weekend, the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race gave that chance to a handful of notables, including former Miami Dolphin Larry Zonka.
I have the guts to go around here once in a while, but the intestinal strain, I would develop ulcers if I did this for a living.
I mean, everyone's fighting for their space, and everyone's trying to pass each other, and you're in survival mode.
A couple of my ABC colleagues took on the streets of Long Beach and each other.
Paul Page, for as long as I've known him, has told the American viewing public all they need to know about auto racing. Folks, today, you're going to finally get to see just how little he truly knows.
Would you like to reply to that?
Just want you to keep watching. There's the before. The after, that smile won't be nearly that big.
Then it was time to race. At the drop of the green flag, Peter Cetera, Chicago's lead singer, spun up the straight. A R02 would hit the wall, proving Page's prophecy. And as the race developed, Page raced with the leaders, including former Indy winners Johnny Rutherford and Bobby Rahal, who passes here for the lead. At the checkered flag, it was Rahal. Then actor Stephen Baldwin of The Young Riders. Paul Page was third. For winner Rahal, hopes of a clean sweep this weekend.
I got through traffic and just, learned a lot from just watching these guys in the past. You just can't lean on them. You got to drive them very smoothly, and it was a lot of fun. I had a kick. I hope it's a good omen for tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When this guy passes you, it feels so good you want him to do it one more time. It's like...
Paul, I think in 2 races of that Toyota deal, Bobby Rahal better start watching out for Paul Page.
I had
did a good job.
It was a lot of fun. On board once again, Mario Andretti works his way around the track. The leader of the race is Al Unser Jr., followed by Emerson Fittipaldi.
It means a lot to have the pressure of this team on Mario's shoulders. It has so often in the last few races been on Michael's instead, and I think Mario wants that responsibility, wants to feel that he is leading the team again. This is a good day for Mario Andretti.
Now keep in mind also that Michael's not very far back. He didn't spend much time stuck down in that turn 1 when he got kind of captured in that first lap problem, Sam. He's up and running and doing quite well, not too far behind his father.
Mario Andretti rides in 3rd place as he chases Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr. We'll return with more of ABC's coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We're back riding with the 3rd place car, Mario Andretti. As we take a look at the summary after 45 laps, Al Unser Jr. has been the dominant factor and is running a record pace right now. Only 1 lead change. That was when Mario picked up the lead when Al went into the pits. Then when Mario went in, Al went right back in front. They're back in the same order again. Al Unser Jr., Emerson Fittipaldi. Then Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan. Michael Andretti is up in 5th now, followed by Rick Mears, Ari Lyondike, Bobby Rahal, Raul Boisel, Scotty Brayton rounds out the top 10. You take a look at the Porsche, that's Teo Bobby, and Bobby is running down now in 12th place, and he has been fighting with Eddie Cheever for the past couple laps. Let's go down to the pits. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well,
Paul, as Teo battles down there in that number 12 spot, Paul, John Andretti is out of this competition and is alongside. John, what turned out to be the problem for you?
Well, we had a bad understeer problem all weekend, so we added more and more flaps on the front, and obviously we closed off too much to the radiators. At least that's what we initially think, and the temperatures were going up and up and up, and I'm surprised it stayed together at the temperatures it got to. Speaks well for the team and Porsche engine and the Quaker State oil.
Well, I know it's been a tough couple of weeks, first Phoenix and now here, but Indianapolis, you got a lot of time to go to work in the month of May. We wish you well.
Thanks a lot. Well, Indianapolis is my hometown, so maybe we'll get the Andretti bad luck away.
All right. Still a touch of optimism, Paul.
Well, John Andretti, his Porsche car failing him. He's out of the race here, but looking ahead to the Indianapolis 500.
Yes, Paul, you know, I'm just going to mention he's a sprint car driver. He came up through sprints and midgets, and he's going to be a good driver. He really is a young, aggressive one, and he loves the Porsche.
There's the 25 car. That's Willie T. Ribbs. He is running 14th now. This is his first IndyCar start. And, Bobby, he's playing a conservative run here, and that's probably a very bright way to approach it.
Yeah, so we watched there. He is right there going down Shoreline Drive. And we watched when he first got here. Hey, he was lost. He didn't understand the car and how to change it. But, boy, they made that car a lot faster. That's a Raynor garage door car. It's a good car, and Willie's certainly doing better.
Originally, this team had announced that they intended to run at Indianapolis, but then they finally decided the car arrived too late. They just didn't have the operation together, and so they will not race Indianapolis this year. While Willie may not be willing to admit it, it probably hurt a lot that he couldn't do that.
What makes this historic is that Willie T. Ribbs is a black man. He's a black racing driver, a very, very fine one, but he has been dogged throughout his career by a really hot temper manifested itself, mostly off the track, but sometimes on the track. I think it's hurt him. I think it's something he has completely under control as of the last couple of years. I hope so. I believe he's a man of immense talent, and I would like to see that talent have an opportunity to shine in a race car.
Running just ahead of Willie T. Ribbs, you get an occasional view of that yellow and blue number 10 car, and that is Hiro Matsushita. So if you're considering new things in IndyCar racing, the first Oriental to sit behind the wheel of an IndyCar drives in this race as well. Interesting thing on the pronunciation as we watch Scott Goodyear in the 11 car, on the pronunciation there, while when you see it written, it looks like it ought to be Matsushita. The Japanese, when you ask them, say it really should be pronounced Matsushita, so I think we'll stay with that for a while. Good fight here as Eddie Cheever comes across the front of Scott Goodyear and picks up the position.
Scott Goodyear, by the way, is a Canadian, and he's really been looking good in IndyCar racing. Come up through the smaller open-wheel cars like the Berlin Painting. It's going to be a good driver, Paul.
Scott Goodyear works his way around the course in behind Eddie Cheever now in that red and white number 15 machine.
Of course, in Canada, they are looking for a man to fill the shoes of the great Gilles Villeneuve, the great Canadian champion. Will it be Scott Goodyear? Who knows?
On board once again, Mario Andretti. Looking ahead to try and find Emerson Fittipaldi running in second place, but Emo is a good 10 seconds ahead of this car, and then 20 seconds ahead is the leader, Al Unser Jr.
Because of the onboard camera, you cannot look and see how smooth Mario is. He's very similar to little Al. They're both Lola cars, and I suspect they both set up pretty close to the same because they're extremely smooth. Look at his hands and how little work he really has to do.
Running down through the starting field after 50 laps for you. Keep an eye on Mario Andretti. Race at speed is really how you win, especially on a road course, most certainly at the Indianapolis 500. He barely moves the wheel. It's almost a light touch of a lover with his car as he just gently pulls the wheel around and yet places the car in exactly the right place at hundreds of miles an hour.
Whoa. What rhetoric was that? It seems to me, as I recall, these cars actually are very heavy steering. Men have to be extremely fit to do what looks so easy to us here. Remember the G-forces that we don't see the camera as they slam from corner to corner.
Well, Unser Jr. is still out in front in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. He is going for career win number 10, which would put him in line with guys like Peter DiPaolo and Louis Chevrolet on the all-time win list. We'll be back. Page with Sam Posey, Bobby Unser, Gary Gerald, and Jack Arute watching Mario Andretti. Riding in third place right now as he works his way around this circuit, and we ride on board with Mario now. Let's just sit back and let Mario take us for a Sunday afternoon drive in Long Beach. vibration actually exists in these cars. He's now on Seaside. It's Mashusta that he comes to the inside. And we've completed a lap there. Bobby Unser, perhaps you can give us an idea of some of the driving at some of these corners as he comes around again as we ride with third place Mario.
Yes, what you're seeing now is coming down the front straightaway, Paul. Now, this is 180 miles an hour approximately down at the other end.
There's Danny Sullivan.
Even though you see a turn in it, hey, to them it's a wide open straightaway. There's Danny. There's a real quick close-up. Watch how smooth Danny's wings are, how smooth the car is.
Danny Sullivan runs in fourth place right now behind Mario Andretti. Remember, he had that problem at the early part of the race. You look back from Bobby Rahall's cars. Bobby Rahal sweeps across into turn one just in front of Sullivan. Not a battle for position, but a great fight on the track.
A top driver like Sullivan, though, learns to put a mistake out of his mind and behind him. He won't be dwelling on that mistake he made earlier. He'll think about it later, not now.
Boy, did you see him pitch the back end, though, as there comes Sullivan closing up on Rahal. Right now, it is Rahal running back in 8th place. Let's go to Jack Arute.
During that crash, we said that Danny Sullivan was a little concerned about his fuel consumption, but they seem to be doing well. The reason for that was they had turned the boost down just a notch. Just one lap ago, the crew radioed Danny Sullivan go back to full boost. And right now, by our calculations, he's one of the fastest things out there.
Well, he's looking spectacular, and Bobby Rahal is supplying the footage here as we look back live.
And you can really get a feel.
Whoa, he's right in there.
Oh, he is. You get a feel how he's got better braking, a lot better braking than Bobby Rahal does. Obviously, that's where Rahal has been giving up a lot today.
Watch as they come down into the first turn now. Sullivan is pitching the car all over the place. The back end really getting loose.
180 miles an hour. Look at that. Now he's just really getting, and he did a pass on him right there, and you saw it from the back how he really came up and went after Rahal.
Flying Pegasus, Danny Sullivan, boy, he is out and beginning to burn this race course up, trying to catch up to the top three. Al Unser, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Mario Andretti.
One of the best shots we ever saw right there. Did you see how the drivers really go for it when they decide to go for it?
Bobby Rahal's STP Craco machine runs in 8th place. That's continuing to chase Sullivan, but of course he is a lap off of the pace and still struggling with this car. He's had problems with it right from the green flag.
Well, if you have brake problems at Long Beach, you've got major problems, and that's apparently what he's had. He's not going to be able to overcome it. Make up for it a little bit, but not overcome it.
Does that say something about how he uses the car? He by the way, ran out of brakes in the Toyota Pro Celebrity race as well.
Not really, Paul. The brakes on these cars should be infallible. The guy really shouldn't be able to go fast enough to hurt these brakes. They're just really special any way you want to look at it.
Sullivan closes up behind the number 10 Panasonic car. Mashusta comes to the outside. And that easily goes past, but Hero wisely saw that was Danny Sullivan and said, nope, I'm just out here to learn for a little bit. I'm not going to play that game.
That's a sign of a good rookie when he moved out of the way and let the pass happen like that, because he definitely owed it to Sullivan to let him go by.
All right, we continue to watch. Here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, Danny Sullivan. In front is Al Unser Jr. In second place is Emerson Fittipaldi. Mario Andretti is in third. Then this car, the number 7, Danny Sullivan. Then Michael Andretti, who had his problems early on and has carved his way back up to 5th from falling as far behind as 23rd place. Rick Mears runs in 6th. Now, next Saturday, we'll start off Professional Bowling's crown jewel, the $250,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions. And ABC's Wide World of Sports will present women's gymnastics. United States and East Germany meet head-to-head for the first time. We'll also have a report from Churchill Downs on the Derby trial and a Kentucky Derby preview. That's all live next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Back with Mario Andretti, the third-place car.
And just remember that it is Danny Sullivan behind Andretti now on the road. That's Fittipaldi, Sullivan's teammate. Fittipaldi in second, Sullivan in fourth, catching Andretti.
The story of this race has been the fact that there's no contest for Al Unser Jr. 3 in a row. It appears to be something that has been in hand right from the green flag as he continues to run away from the second-place Fittipaldi. You saw there went Fittipaldi around Didier Tays in the tune-up Masters car. And just easy pass, though Fittipaldi should be able to get around that car because of the difference in power easier.
but you can watch 88 points to it. In other words, that's really being a gentleman, being laughed and saying, hey, go by the right side. I'm going to make it easy on you.
Emerson won the championship last year by driving hard and taking chances. He won a lot of races, and he's starting to do that again now. He's starting to really push. He's only 10 seconds back and is not out of reach. If he can start putting the pressure on Little Al up front, even if it's a few seconds back, Little Al man, you see him slide there, they have to start using more fuel and pushing harder through traffic than he would like.
Remember, Sam, they've told him, turn up the boost. The computer maybe was a little bit wrong. They had a little bit more fuel than they thought, so they're running the full 45 inches allowable on the PC90s with the Chevrolet engines in.
So we watch the second place car of Emerson Fittipaldi, 11 seconds back from the leader, Al Unser Jr., as they work their way through these streets in Long Beach, California. Al Unser still dominates. We'll be back.
In the history of motor racing, to live and drive the Indy 500, 3 decades of ABC Sports at Indy, a brand new video cassette that tells the whole Indy experience from an unbelievable point of view. Now you can live and drive the Indy 500 for only $19.98 plus $3 shipping and handling. To order your video, call 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York.
Coming off of the hairpin, and fortunately, everybody was able to get around him. He called for help from these two course marshals to try and get him back down toward the pit area. The pit entrance is only a few feet away.
Well, for a while, Paul, he was right in the middle of the groove, and you can see how bad he wanted somebody to get out there and help him get out of the way, because that's the worst place that you can spin in.
Here's what happened. He was on board, coming into the corner.
The engine just quit. Probably ran out of fuel. Maybe had a fuel pickup problem, Paul. Look at the tire pick up all the crud from the racetrack. That's really a bad place. That's in the hairpin. It's really the narrow place on the track to have it quit.
But the good news is it's also where they're moving the slowest, so they were able to kind of get the cars under control and not get into the back of Rahal when he just stopped on the course.
And the course marshals, of course, put out the yellow, so the drivers knew there was something wrong. Little Al, Rick, everybody got by nice and easy.
Looking down now from the Goodyear blimp as we chase the leader on shoreline. We'll try and watch him most of the way around here as he comes into traffic. Very careful. Moves to the inside. Two cars in trouble, Goodyear and the 19 car of Dean Hall as the course marshals, and it takes a lot of them to run this race, and they do a spectacular job out trying to get the cars clear. Look at them, though, as they have to dodge cars coming through there. Hall gets going again. Nice job by the corner workers here.
Well, they've got to be brave to get out. That's actually in traffic. And, you know, the drivers don't see, as we've mentioned so many times, because of the concrete wall, they don't see much. So it's really brave for a court marshal to get out and do that.
And they have called, you see those yellow flags. I wondered why they were at the hairpin. It is because they have called for a full course yellow. They're going to send the pace car out. Apparently they feel that Goodyear's car is in an uncomfortable position.
Now look for all the cars to come in right now and get fuel. The fast cars should be diving in just as soon as things pack up, Paul.
Well, it's coming in at a time that may not be advantageous to some, as Al Unser Jr., the leader, heads for the pits under the full course yellow. On board with Mario Andretti. Here comes Fittipaldi in. The second place car is in. Just ahead of him, Al Unser Jr. is in the pits as well. There's Al Unser Jr.'s car. They make a stop. He darted into the pits very quickly. Comes out in 16.7 seconds. The second place car, Fittipaldi. They work on his car. The Penske team pushes that machine away. But he is still chasing Little Al as they come out of the pits. Mario Andretti comes in to stop.
Now remember, the idea is first in, first out. When it's an all-course yellow, hey, they had to all come in. There's Emmo leaving the pits right now. He's got Rahal between him. He would like to be right up to Little Al's bumper, but it isn't going to happen right now.
And he wants to get around Rahal just as fast as he can. As they come out, they join the course in the first turn. The full course yellow will keep them from passing one another, so that will control the racetrack. There's the Horton safety vehicle out.
Full course yellow came out, obviously, because the track was more than 50% blocked, and that's what Wally Dallenbach with these
first full course caution since 1988 here at Long Beach. We'll return with more of ABC's coverage of the Grand Prix after a word from our ABC station. watching the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Let's go down to Jackaroo.
And Paul, I'm in the Emerson Fittipaldi pit with Rick Reineman, and this is the break that you people needed. No more short shifting now.
Well, it still depends on how long this stays yellow, because right now we're right at the limit, and Emerson wants to win the race.
But see, what they were doing, Paul, as we said, was you were short shifting throughout the race, and now you've taken all the fuel that you can get. But under this full course yellow, it should change your miles per gallon to the end.
Well, that is definitely going to help us. Again, depending on how long this stays yellow. If it stays a few laps, we'll be able to race, but Junior's going to run too.
They're really crossing their fingers right now, Paul, but they think they can make it a race.
So, Bobby Unser, you have a question for Jackaroo.
Yes, Jack. Maybe you can ask the people, are they full of fuel? That'll make the difference in what we're going to see.
Bobby, what they've done is they had about 35 gallons left in the tank. I checked on the tank before we came on here, and they are totally empty. So they have put on 35 gallons. Now, what they actually had on board when they came in for that stop, they had elected to come in another 4 stops, another 4 laps. So assume it would be about maybe 10 gallons in the tank.
All right, well, Al Unser Jr. was on a record pace at 87.9 miles an hour, but this full course yellow is going to affect that. You know, the biggest change in IndyCar racing the last 10 years has not been the drivers or the cars, it's where they race. It all began here, as Sam Posey reports.
The streets of Long Beach, California, pretty much like the streets of any American city, except that since 1975, they have become once a year a racetrack. And with racing in the streets have come crowds of people to watch. And with the people and the money they spend here has come the economic revitalization of downtown Long Beach. Once grimy and industrial, today flourishing and fun. The race has become a springtime ritual, the focus for a 10-day festival of race-related events such as a charity ball and this auto expo. Total attendance, more than 250,000 people. What has happened here has not gone unnoticed in other North American cities. Last year, Indy cars raced in Detroit, New York, Cleveland, Toronto, and this year, new races are planned in Denver and Vancouver. IndyCar racing, once identified with ovals and fairgrounds, has taken to the streets. And it all started here in Long Beach.
Boy, this place really, since the first Formula 5000 race in 1975, it's grown up. Those buildings weren't even here then. Now they have a beautiful marina alongside the track. There's so many excellent restaurants. We really had a good time here in Long Beach.
And it's all because of the inspiration of one man whose name is Christopher Pook. He had the vision, he knew what to do, and he made it happen. It's fabulous.
And it's dramatically impacted the city itself. While this was a decaying, slow, old town when they first started racing here, it's now vibrant and alive.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Let's go down to the pits and Gary Gerald.
Paul, before the green comes back out, we're wondering about if all the fuel's gone among the leaders. We're in the little Al Unser pit. Mike Arnold, with his back to us right here, is the fueler. The telltale sign, the helmet is off. All the fuel is gone. His duties are done for this day. We talked to Rick Gallis briefly. He also indicated they haven't had a short shifting problem at all. They haven't had to go to that. They've been good with their fuel all day. He says, we've been cruising. And he gives you that little smile that says, could this be 3 in a row? Paul?
Boy, it's looking very strong. By the way, if Little Al continues his domination, he'd head into the Indianapolis 500 with the points lead. The Airship Columbia, the Goodyear blimp, stays just up the 405 freeway, not far from here. John Creighton from Redondo Beach, California is the pilot, and it's got that great camera on board. As the pace car comes off, the green flag flies again. Now, here on this road course, they just pick up the lead car in the serial, not necessarily the leader of the race. So there will be a scramble as Al Unser Jr. in the number 5 Valvoline car comes inside Eddie Cheever and tries to thread his way through traffic.
Boy, you can see that Cheever didn't expect that pass right there, Paul, because he didn't move over a little bit. He knew Little Al was trying to pass, but he didn't think it'd be quite going in number 1 turn, because both of them have Chevrolet engines in them.
Little Al, once again, will try to separate himself, put as much traffic between himself and that number 1 car that just flashed past of Emerson Fittipaldi, currently running in 2nd place.
He needs the clean air. Little Al wants to get out so he has the clean air to run in, exactly what he had before we had the full course yellow. And it looks like he's accomplished that, Paul.
Al Unser Jr. now leads the field around. He has no traffic ahead. That will help him. Bobby Rahal moves around Willie Ribbs. Here comes Emerson Fittipaldi out alongside Scott Brayton as they come slamming to the turn at Linden at the end of Seaside. And Mario Andretti and Danny Sullivan fight one another. as they come through the field. Danny takes a wide line coming off the corner as he continues his pursuit. So once again, the top of the field, because of that full course caution, has bunched up a bit and turned this back into a race.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a race. Just look at the cars. Nose to tail all the way around from the front to the back. Now, everybody got their tires cool, got new fuel. That always makes a good race this time.
Bobby, the pit stop story should be over. As Gary Gerald suggested, at least with one crew, they have put everything they can in the car, so now it's totally up to the driver.
Other than the Penske cars, we really haven't heard of anybody having any fuel problems this year. Now, remember, the aerodynamic package is different on the cars. The tunnel, the ground effect is smaller than last year. The wings, generally speaking, are a little bit bigger, but the gas mileage seems to be the same.
Mario is under terrific pressure here. He's got Danny Sullivan right behind him and Michael Andretti, his son, right behind Danny. So you're starting to see Mario, who had a strong third situation going on before that yellow, now under extreme pressure.
They sweep under the Convention Center promenade. It comes into the front of the center here on the seaside, and there comes Michael moving out and coming around Lion Dyke. Boy, look at all of them. Boy, that got crowded there. That should be a single file corner there. There's Mario as Sullivan comes past.
Mario's the one that came out loser on that. He didn't really think Sullivan was going to come by. He was more concerned what was up in front, and Sullivan came by him just as he was thinking about that.
They got to that corner, and everybody tried it. Now you can see Michael is lined up behind Michael, and so they're together.
Michael behind Mario. I talked about how important emotionally this race is for Mario Andretti, who you see here ahead of his son. The reality is that Michael, you see here, spun early in the game and has now made up all this distance. Really, the verdict is he must be faster right now than his dad. It's being proved right here.
And when he spun, Sam, as we mentioned earlier, he got to start right away. The course marshals, we couldn't see it, but they must have given him a little push start, got him started, because he didn't lose very much. Look at the brakes smoking as he comes in there. Trying hard to get by his father, but they can't gamble on having a wreck together.
Because Michael is thinking ahead. He's trying to get by Dad in order to resume his battle with Danny Sullivan, who he may very well have a chance to beat.
A battle for fourth place within the Andretti family. That's Scott Brayton that sits just ahead. He is out a little bit in the way. Michael tries to find an advantage as they work their way inside Willie Ribbs.
Does Mario now say, I understand the situation, I'm going to let my son by to go on and battle with Danny Sullivan? The answer, no. I think they're going to just fight amongst themselves, and it's going to be resolved by the best man.
Dangerous always to wonder what might have been, but at the speed Michael is showing coming back up from 23rd now to run in 5th place, one wonders if he'd never had that problem, which really wasn't caused by him, where he would be relative to the leader, Al Unser Jr. Here comes Michael slamming down to the inside, but it is Mario that comes across the front and maintains the position. The battle continues for 4th place. Michael and Mario Andretti as they continue to battle, and there is a car off. That's Boycell in the Budweiser car as he's off in one of the runoff areas, but would like to get the car restarted. No indication as how he got there. So Boycell with his problems. We look down on the Queen Mary, a ship of dreams here in the harbor at Long Beach. 74 laps are complete, and Al Unser Jr. is still out in front. We'll be back. Long Beach, Michael and Mario Andretti continue to battle one another. Mario is in 4th place, but look at Michael. He's closing right in. That's 13th place, Bobby Rahal in the Graco STP machine. He's got 2 of those Kmart cars. That team sitting right behind him. Michael has been charging from time to time on Mario. Remember, originally they didn't want to be teamed together. We asked Mario about the experience of being teamed with his son.
The wholesome satisfaction. I mean, there's so much satisfaction of seeing someone else in the team do well, which is very, very strange and very different from what I've ever experienced before. Usually, if it's a teammate that does well, you have tremendous envy and so on and so forth. And yes, I like to be the one, but I said, boy, it's not all lost. It's still my blood out there, you know. If he's holding the checker flag in his hands, you know, it's still a big part of me there. And I want him, I mean, to succeed. So he's got to have his days. And in many, many ways, to be honest with you, I find a lot of inspiration there. So it's healthy for me.
Michael, on the other hand, was of the opinion that now they can at least talk to one another over the dinner table. They don't have any secrets any longer. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, what Mario Andretti is experiencing in his car is called a long brake pedal. When he goes into a corner and has to go into hard braking, the pedal stays stuck down towards the bottom of the pedal. It doesn't pop back up the way it should. so he has to fish around a little bit, and that's creating some problems, and he goes into some heavy braking here in the corners.
Second place, Emerson Fittipaldi. Bobby Unser, you've been watching him, and he's closing in. He is now in sight of Al Unser Jr. The battle develops for the lead.
And you know, this is a dangerous place to have Emo as far as little Al is concerned. The closer Emo gets, or in other words, when he can see little Al this close, he's going to try like you'd never believe a human being's going to try.
Recall the end of the Indy 500 last year when these two men, there's Emerson's wife, Teresa, when these two men came together, collided with each other. Both are fighters. Neither will give an inch. There's a lot left in this race.
Very much the same situation. 78 laps complete. Emerson Fittipaldi runs in second place, driving for the Penske organization, but closing down on little Al.
He's actually gaining on him. He's been watching the last several laps, and he's been closing up on little Al. Now, little Al knows this because he can see him in his mirrors by now.
You think if he could keep him from getting this close, he could, or is Emo actually definitely in contest?
Emo is in a contest, and he's absolutely pulling up on him now. He's not running away with it, and if he caught him right now, the pass would be very difficult. And, of course, that's what we saw that Sam brought it up in Indianapolis last year.
When the race resumed after the yellow flag situation, little Al's lead was 3.2 seconds. It then shrunk to about 2. Now it is 1.4.
And he has to be conscious of that. He's seen it off his board. He's hearing it on his radio.
Yes, and you know, you think, well, he did have the pole position here. Fine, he was fastest in practice, but that was just one lap that he did to achieve the pole. The rest of his laps were on the whole slower than Emerson Fittipaldi's laps. So really, when you take an average, Emerson has been faster. We're seeing that now.
Remember, this part of the race, the latter part of the race, tires are playing a big factor. How hard have they used them, Sam? How much have they abused them? Maybe little Al doesn't have quite as good a tires right now as Emo does.
Goodyear brought out a new tire for this racetrack in addition to their Speedway Eagle radio line. And they are using it here, a slightly softer compound in one position on the car. Everyone seemed to be appreciative of that change. Of course, the radials have been in effect in IndyCar racing for some time now. It's a definite animal that everyone knows, and they say it's a much better tire because they can accelerate in a better line and brake very, very hard. We've certainly seen that here as we've watched the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Well, Al Unser Jr. is still out in front and in a perfect position to go to Indianapolis, but Fittipaldi wants to contest it.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
To the good life.
To live the good life, you have to pay the price. Today, the average new car costs over $15,000. But relax.
Long Beach, the battle is for the lead. Fittipaldi is climbing all over the back end of Al Unser Jr. They're lapping this course at better than 87 miles an hour. And it is a replay of last year's Indianapolis 500. Teresa Fittipaldi watches on from the pits. There's Shelley Unser, both hoping that their husbands can come safely to the end of this race, but they're in conflict once again on this very, very tight circuit where passing is all but impossible. Bobby Unser, if there is a pass, where will they try?
Well, most likely, little Al's carrying a little bit more rear wing than Emo is. Most likely, it's going to be at the end of the front straightaway, which is what we're coming to right now. Now, he's there. Let's see if he's going to try a pass.
That was the reaction in the Fittipaldi pits when they realized that Emo was right up on the back end of little Al for the first time.
The emotional leadership of the Penske team has now shifted to Emerson Fittipaldi, who just wanted to show little Al that he was there. Realized that just 2 weeks ago, there's Shelley Unser. 2 weeks ago, Teresa Fittipaldi at Phoenix. It was Rick Mears who led the Penske team. Now that has shifted, and it was, of course, Emerson who last year rivaled.
Traffic just ahead, but fortunately Hero moves out of the way, though little Al does snap a brake on pretty hard, and Fittipaldi closes in once again.
I think what happened is the little Al's tired, maybe not quite as good a shape as Emo's are right now. You can watch when he goes through the corners, the tight corners, he's pushing a little bit, but when he comes off the turns, the rear end's snapping out a little bit on little Al. That means his tires are down a little bit, Paul.
Tremendous fight at the front of the field. Let's just watch it. First and second, Al Unser Jr., Emerson Fittipaldi. Let's get this update from Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, just to back up what Bobby was asking about with the tire situation for Little Al, Rick Gallus says there is no tire problem. He said, just look at the time and the speed we're running. We're running almost as fast as people qualified. We've got one heck of a race. Those are Gallus's words. All he can do is nervously watch from the wall, Paul.
11 laps to go. Willie T. Ribbs just wobbled coming down the front stretch and has pulled off the course, so he is out of the race. We continue to watch the fight for the lead. At 88.3 miles an hour. They are now actually racing at speeds faster than 19 of the cars qualified here. Fittipaldi comes onto the main stretch. They continue to cheer him on. Final 10 laps of the run. 0.68 of a second separates first and second. So Al Unser Jr. continues to try to hold off a flying Emerson Fittipaldi. We'll be back with a finish right after this. Pull away from Emerson Fittipaldi, but they move into traffic now, and that will become critical. Al Unser Jr. just cracked the lap at 88.83 miles an hour. He's flying. He comes up behind Scott Goodyear. Emerson Fittipaldi continues to try to close in.
Big Al, Al's father, well, he was so involved with his own career when Little Al was getting started that he couldn't take the time to work with him. He turned him over to a 50-year-old mechanic named Walter Judge and told Judge, you make a street fighter out of him, I'll do the fine-tuning. It looks to me as if Judge did his part of the bargain here.
The problem for Little Al is he is going to have to work his way through some traffic. That will give Emerson Fittipaldi a slight advantage because Emo can pace a little bit better into the traffic, but has to hope that he doesn't get locked up behind it. Remember, these two men fought at the end of last year's Indianapolis 500. The result there was a crash for Little Al, $1 million win for Emo. We asked Al Unser Jr., do you think about Indianapolis very much?
Something that has been well forgotten and is in the past. And so it was a racing accident, and Mario was upset and all that sort of stuff because I think that he likes Long Beach an awful lot too. And just the way it came down, he was disappointed and upset in me. And you know, Mario, I look at him almost like my father. He's my favorite race car driver and idol and all that kind of stuff. And so when he was mad at me, it was very disappointed for myself.
Al Unser Jr. still runs in front here, remembering last year's contact with Mario Andretti in a season that saw a great deal of contact in the Indy cars. Now Little Al tries his best to pull away from Fittipaldi and succeeds to some degree in doing so.
Well, you just imagine at the end of the race, where we're close to the end right now, Little Al is turning speeds up to 5th quick in qualifying. In other words, you hardly ever see cars go this fast right at the end of the race. And Emerson is not letting up one little bit. Emerson, like I said earlier, is like a bulldog.
Fittipaldi right back on top of Al Unser Jr. The Penske Power Team this year with cars now in 2nd, 3rd, and Rick Mears runs in 6th. Danny Sullivan is not that far behind Emerson Fittipaldi.
Little Al won only one race last year. This was it. And after Indianapolis and that confrontation with Emerson on the next to last lap, he seemed to lose his steam. It's good to see him getting it back. He was, of course, 3rd in Phoenix 2 weeks ago. He may win this one and lead the championship.
Only 1 second, 1 1/4 second varies each lap. They're just running exactly the same speed. But remember, if Emo gets a little bit closer, Little Al will be messing up the air to his front wing. That hurts you a lot on a road course as well as it does an oval track.
They're tired, almost to the point of exhaustion. It's a warm day in Southern California, a beautiful day, but very, very hot in these cockpits. And this is a point at which they can make no mistake. Even the slightest hesitation on the shifting of a gear or over-braking or under-braking, and that other car is going to be right there and pass.
Well, what you hate from the cockpit is when you look ahead and see traffic there, because that's what really can screw you up. So you have to be, I mean, if it's just a clear track, Al is going to win it.
Rick Gallis, the team owner from Al Unser Jr. 5 laps to go. Let's ride with the battle for the lead. There's the fight at the front of the field as they come through turn 3. This gives you an excellent idea of the interval and the closing under braking. We watch the fight for the lead. The blue and white car is Little Al. The bright, almost white car from above is Emerson Fittipaldi as they sweep through under the parking garage. And there is the worry. Traffic lies just ahead. Teresa Fittipaldi throws her hand like that. She's trying to throw, as she says, energy to Emo's car to give him more force to move on. Bobby, you think Shelley isn't worried?
She is. She takes the racing just as serious as Little Al does, as well as Emo's wife does. But there's not much these girls can do to help these drivers in these cars. They're just strictly bystanders like we are right now.
We are the pit crew, everyone. It's totally in the hands of these two men.
This is the speed. Again, 180 miles an hour. The cars look like they're a little ways apart there, but they're not. In the turns, they close right up on each other.
Al Unser Jr. has not won an IndyCar race since this event 1 year ago.
And the Penske team has never won a race on this kind of racetrack.
Much on the line, and a massive purse, over $1 million here.
You watch right there, and those cars jumped out. His tires are probably very slippery. You can't run this far, this long as they have, the speed they've run without the cars jumping around a bunch.
Still closely in contact. Bobby, is there any relationship to what we've seen in stock car racing where they set up one another lap after lap and one really might prefer to be in second place, or does Fittipaldi really want to move as fast as he can to get around?
He wants to move as fast as he can to get around, Paul, because Long Beach is very hard to pass on.
Danny Sullivan is a battle for third place with Michael Andretti right now. So 2 fights on the course.
Racing all over the course right now.
They have a distinct impact in the finish of this race and in the points as Michael tries to catch Danny.
In this case, it's a Penske car under attack.
Like ever popular Lolas.
While one might consider that Little Al's run is spectacular, consider the run of the Kmart car number 3 of Michael Andretti. He was back as far as 23rd at one point. And now he is up contesting for third place.
This has been a beautifully driven race among the leaders.
All of the teams did a lot of testing at West Palm Beach, Florida, to prepare themselves specifically for this race. They felt the tracks were similar.
This should give us an idea about what we're going to see at the upcoming Indianapolis race. Lola against the Penske. Looks like it's going to be pretty close this year, Paul.
Fight for the lead, fight here for third. Michael, right down the exhaust pipe of Danny Sullivan, tries him to the inside, but Danny sweeps across. white flag signifying one more lap to go as he pulls a bit away from Emerson Fittipaldi on the last lap now. Two battles on the course as Michael Andretti tries to catch Danny Sullivan for third.
Little Al has just a little bit of room ahead of Fittipaldi now. He probably feels a little bit better for this last lap, Paul.
The real fight develops here for third place as Al Unser Jr. has separated by 2.2 seconds from Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi simply has not been able to catch him, but Michael Andretti has been able to catch Danny Sullivan in the number 7 car. The final lap. Michael climbs up on the back end of Danny Sullivan. Sullivan almost loses the back end. They work their way towards Seaside now.
They're both trying so hard, it's unbelievable.
And here is Al Unser Jr. protected now by the traffic car of Didier Tays as he comes to the 11th and final turn. And it looks like he's going to manage it again. He comes carefully off of the hairpin. And Al Unser Jr. scores 3 in a row as he takes a win at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Teresa Fittipaldi cheers her husband on in second. We watch for the battle for third, and Danny Sullivan finishes in third, holding off Michael Andretti.
That was a good race. I think that's as good a race as we ever see. And you just watch how hard they tried the last lap. That whole course really made it a fantastic race.
And look at the celebration in the Gallus pit. Unofficially, here's the results. Al Unser Jr. takes the win, followed by Fittipaldi, Sullivan, Michael, and then Mario. So long from Long Beach. We've had a great race here. We look ahead to the Indianapolis 500.
For the Valvoline Gallus Craig.
The Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach has been brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Haviland Superior Grade Motor Oil, more protection than you'll ever need. By Sears Craftsman, people who depend on tools depend on craftsmen. And by New Bud Dry, the first beer, both cold filtered for smooth draft taste and dry brewed for no aftertaste. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.